Hey lovies, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Extreme Tarot, where we do moon readings and pick-a-cards. Today we're doing a pick-a-card reading, a look into what people misunderstand about you. We're going to look at basically like how you see yourself versus how other people see you and find the discrepancies. So go ahead and pick your pile if that sounds interesting to you. I have three piles here, obviously. I have pile one here with the celestite crystal. I have pile two with the amethyst crystal. And I have pile three with the malachite crystal. Okay. So go ahead and take a minute and I will list the timestamps in the description box and in the comments, okay? See you at your pile. Okay guys, so if you chose pile one and the celestite crystal, this is going to be your reading to see what people misunderstand about you. So I actually pre-shuffled all your cards today just because in the interest of saving time. So let's see what we have here. So this card is representing what people misunderstand about you. So we have the Flame. This card is how you see yourself or how you actually are, basically. Actually, let's move this over a little bit. And this is how other people see you. So for how you are perceiving yourself, we have the Priest energy. The light attribute is facilitates spiritual commitments, serves as a channel of spiritual energy. And the shadow attribute is violates the trust of your spiritual community, seduced by your own spiritual role. I'm going to assume the way you're seeing yourself in these archetype cards is like the light attribute, unless obviously I'm like channeling it differently, but also like I'm gonna like look at it in the context of like the shadow could be how other people are viewing you, if it's like applies, if it applies. And then for the destroyer, again, same thing, maybe like the shadow attribute is going to be most relevant for how people see you, just because like we're looking at like kind of like I was saying, the discrepancy between like what you're seeing and what other people are seeing. So the light attribute for the destroyer is releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life. And again, this could be like a positive attribute for how you're seeing like a negative aspect of your personality, but we'll get into it in the reading. And then the shadow attribute for this card is intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. All right, let's start with this for now. So what do we have here? We have the Flame being as like the crux of the problem. What is the discrepancy? What do people misunderstand about you? And I think what people misunderstand about you is that you have a lot of like intense emotion like burning beneath the surface. And I feel like you could be somebody that has learned early on to sort of keep it hidden, like keep it enclosed in this glass pyramid here. I feel like it's like this layer, then there's like this other layer, then another layer. Like I feel like you try to project an image of like stop. Project an image of like smooth, like harmonious energy kind of. Okay, because this is a number 51, which reduces to a 6. It's like a number of harmony, of love, of like getting along, peace and things like that. So I feel like, come on, bub. My dog, sorry. I feel like you try to project that smooth image when there's stuff like burning inside. And with this Priest energy being here, I feel like you could be, it says serves as a channel of spiritual energy. So you could be constantly like getting downloads from spirit. You could constantly be picking up on other people's emotions. And I feel like that is what's going on here with this destroyer. So you're a channel of energy. So let's say you're at work in your, you know, place of work or whatever. And it's like, you know, there's just like a full moon or something and just everyone is like kind of like, you know, stressed out, like there's deadlines due, whatever. Like, you know, let's say you work in a newspaper and like the paper has to be out by midnight tonight. It's like 9 o'clock and everyone's scrambling and stressed out and like kind of snipping at each other. It's like you're picking up on all of that energy, like, you know, and you're probably the one running around trying to keep things harmonious. But then like, I feel like what happens is that at some points, You could have sort of like a breaking point where you explode, where it's like almost like emotion overload or something like that. Even if you don't consider yourself a channel of spiritual energy and you're like, what are you talking about? Like maybe you're just like a very sensitive person. If it's something that you like hear from a lot of times from people is like, oh, you're too sensitive, you're too emotional, you're too dramatic. Like I feel like you could like kind of have these explosions that seem like out of nowhere, especially because you have such like a smooth like veneer, like, you know, most of the time I feel like you're very like, oh, like a social smoother. Like there's something about being smooth, like smoothing things over, and then all of a sudden like rah, like going crazy, and people are like, what? And I think people, and now like this says the light attribute, releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life. Because like what people don't understand, like, you know how people always say like, oh, you have to deal with your emotions, or you know, it's like bad to like keep your emotions in, but it's like, it's not just your emotions, it's other people's emotions. It's like you're kind of like, you're like a sponge, I feel like soaking it all in, and then kind of having an eruption. But people don't realize that like it takes a very strong person to sort of be able to handle all this like influx of energy that's constantly in your surroundings. Like if you just work from home, or you work in an office where you're not really like exposed to too many people, God bless, like you're probably like, there's like a lighter version of this energy, but you could see it maybe in your family or whatever. Like we're talking about the workplace now, but because I feel like that's like I feel like your family, not that they can't misunderstand you, but I don't know, I feel like in the workplace a lot of times, like, it's like you kind of feel like you have to keep up this veneer, this kind of like, you know, work professional face kind of. And then I feel like with your family, like, I guess depending on your family though, I shouldn't make assumptions, but there's like maybe more room to be yourself, but also more room to sort of maybe let this more destructive side of your personality sort of come out, because you feel a little bit more comfortable with your family. I feel like you really try to keep this like veneer, like especially in like a social setting. So that's kind of what I'm getting right off the bat, that you have a lot of like, you know, maybe passionate, like fiery emotions. You could be a fire sign with this like volcano and the flame here, but you don't have to be. Even like you could have a fire moon. You could have a lot of like intense, like dramatic emotions. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, so that's like basically the, you know, like the general synopsis of what I feel like people misunderstand about you. If that resonates, let's continue with the reading. So I have these tarot cards to just kind of further clarify. So how do people, or how, like, what is going on actually? Like, how do you see yourself? Like, who are you really? We have the Page of Cups and the Eight of Wands. And then what do people misunderstand about you? We have the Eight of Cups. And then how do people see you? We have the Three of Swords and Justice. All right, so what do people misunderstand about you? We have this Eight of Cups here. I feel like, again, like with the Eight of Cups and this person kind of staggering away, we have this moon kind of looking like, again, I feel like, again, it's emotions. Like, we also have two eights here, the Eight of Wands and the Eight of Cups. But I feel like it's, again, it's like things like take a toll on you, and you have to sort of like, I feel like almost like you're like stumbling in the dark. Like, I feel like, because a lot of times this card could talk about like alcohol, like drinking excessively, but in this case I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's more so, again, you picking up on the emotions of people around you and just needing to sort of like separate from that or something, needing to like create some distance for yourself, I feel like. And then that's something I feel like people don't understand. Maybe there's like times that you need to, or that you tend to like avoid people or go really quiet and like keep to yourself. And I think the way that, oh my God, sorry, I just moved the table. The way that this moon is looking seems a little bit, or sorry, this moon is looking at this person seems a little bit judgmental, like almost like, like what's their problem? Like you see his face is a little like, So I feel like that's how people kind of look at you. Like, maybe like they look at you like, oh, this person's like such a mess, or like this, because yeah, like when we're looking over here, we have this Three of Swords. This is like storm clouds, rain falling down. Like maybe you are somebody that feels really like betrayed by people, or like people feel like you over dramatize things and that you take things too far, and maybe even that you're a little self-righteous with justice I'm getting. But we're looking at who you actually are here. And it's like, again, I feel like you're very connected to spirit, the way this little page, and maybe you have been all your life, just because this is like representing a child. Or you could be like younger and not really figured out how to like align all these intense energies that are always coming at you. But the way it's talking to this little fish here, again, is reminding me of like Pisces energy, that you're very connected to like that 12th house sort of an energy. And you are always like channeling, getting information. And I think you work really hard to keep yourself like balanced, to like ride the waves and keep them more steady and not just like, you know. And with the Eight of Wands, again, it's like constant energy like coming at you, just like hitting you, you know. Like that's how I see this, is like arrows of people's energy. And people, I don't think, understand that about you. They don't realize that because they're maybe not that way, or they're more like numb to it. So maybe you kind of feel crazy yourself sometimes, like, why am I so, maybe this is something you maybe misunderstand about your own self, where you're just like, I don't know, I'm trying my best, because I feel like that's what I'm getting here, like the way that these wands are like aligned so perfectly, and the way this wave is, I'm seeing all these lines. I feel like you work so hard to keep yourself balanced, to keep yourself in alignment, but it really is a struggle, and you have like excess energy that other people don't have to deal with. So I feel like Spirit's really bringing forth this message to let you know, like, you're dealing with a lot here. This isn't just like you're an asshole and you don't care, and you maybe like, you know, kind of like flip out sometimes or have like really strong emotional reactions to things, because it's not just maybe like that one thing. It's like 8 things coming at you, and then like it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back, and then like you sort of lash out maybe, or start crying like with the 3 of Swords or something like that. But with Justice, I do feel like there's an energy of people thinking like at the end of the day that you are a good person, that you are fair. Like if, for instance, like you do have a dramatic emotional reaction, you probably like apologize and try to make things right again. So there is like a, I'm sorry, I just blinked out. There is like an indication of that, like that people see that about you, that you're fair, that you're an honest person as well. I don't think people look at you, and I think people look at you more and are like, ooh, like, gotta be careful, like they might, you know, like it's not necessarily without love. It's not that they're like kind of branding you a bad person or anything like that, but I do think that they are recognizing the dramatics, and kind of seeing it maybe as something like, what did this say? Oh, violates the trust of your spiritual communities, to do by your own spiritual role, and intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. I'm not necessarily getting that. I'm more so just getting like the actual like explosion, the dramatics, the theatrics, and things like that. And I think people just do sort of judge it like, all right, like this person is like, they can't handle it, they can't hang, like they think that you can't handle certain situations. But like, okay, like for instance, say, because I'll just use this experience because like I work in a restaurant, but say you're like working at a restaurant, it's like really busy, and like people's food isn't coming out, like, and the whole restaurant is stressed out. All the workers are stressed out because they know like, ooh, like this, you know, things are kind of like, it's just very stressful, like we can't get the food out. The customers are stressing out, where's my chicken parm? Like, you know, and it's like you're kind of picking up on all that. You're picking up on the tension of the whole place, like, which everybody does to some degree, but I feel like it really like sinks in deep, like it's all this stuff hitting you. Yeah, 8 wands, 8 cups, and you're just kind of like staggering around, like dealing with this intensity inside and trying to like kind of keep going and keep things in alignment. Like I was saying, I feel like it's a constant struggle for you. And that's what other people don't realize, is that you're really feeling like the stress and the tension and the pressure, getting kind of like a pressure cooker, and then it just like, ooh, the top like flies off, you know? All right, so let's see what else we have here. These are the final cards that we're going to use here. So this is, again, just sort of like, how do you, you know, how do you feel about yourself, and how do people feel about you? We have, so this is for how you feel about yourself. Take time to breathe out. Yeah, again, like it's, and the void. And then for how do other people kind of see you or feel about you, it says full moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in your way. Again, that Leo, there's like a Leo moon being indicated here. And, oh, hot moon, extremes. Okay. So yeah, I think people, again, like with this Justice and the 3 of Swords energy, it's like people see you as either being really like, because Justice is Libra energy. Yeah, it's that 6 that energy of like, I don't know, I always think of like the sixth, not the sixth house, but kind of like the Six of Pentacles, or I don't know why I always associate Libra with the number 6 when it's really the 7th house, but just like that energy of like harmony. I feel like that's what Librans are known for. So I feel like people are like, how can you be so like fair and balanced one minute and then like kind of like hysterical crying the next or something like that? Like it's that extreme energy. So let me just put this so we can like see it. Do I have room for another row? I don't think so. No, I got to do it like this. All right. So yeah, and then don't let pride get in your way in extreme. So I think people sometimes feel like it's coming from a place of pride, which maybe it is, but I feel like they're misinterpreting what the pride is. I feel like you're, again, like how all these emotions churning beneath the surface, and maybe you do feel kind of like proud of yourself for like kind of just keeping things as balanced as you do most of the time. But then when these extremes happen, I think people are misinterpreting it as like it's coming from a place of pride. But with Leo energy, I feel like something that could get you upset is like loyalty, because like Leos are known for being so loyal. So that could be another thing where you feel like you're such a loyal person, and like when you feel like people aren't giving you the same energy back, like you could lash out and be like, again, like that isn't right. And that's where that like self-righteous energy kind of comes in. But I feel like you are a very pure person here with the Page of Cups that was underneath. So like you have like a very innocent, loyal, like especially because you're so in tune with other people's energy, you're probably very empathetic, very empathic. So like you always probably try to treat others the way you want to be treated, and when you don't, I feel like it really does affect you and make you upset. I think you're very proud about, like, I don't want to say like what a good person you are, but kind of like you feel like you're so good to other people and it doesn't come back, and then when it doesn't, you like lash out maybe, or you just get really upset and start crying, whatever it is. But how do you feel about yourself? I mean, I feel like you almost feel like you're like doomed to like live a life of solitude, because it's almost like you feel like people can't handle your energy, like it's too intense or something like that. Meanwhile, it's probably some of their energy too that you're like soaking up, but they don't get that. You maybe don't even get that to the full extent. It's like you feel like you need to like take so much time away from people, that being around other people does take a toll on you, or that people maybe just don't understand you with the void. And I feel like you're a very understanding person of others, and you feel like you never really get that understanding back, and it causes you to feel very lonely, and very sad. Because this is all this fire here, but then this is like cold energy. I feel like you feel very cold about yourself, or just you feel like you're kind of left out in the cold a lot of times. But it's interesting that other people feel it's like the opposite. Like they're looking at you and feeling almost like, I don't, they're just seeing the extremes and like noticing that it's like not maybe normal for them to be that way. So they're classifying it in like a negative way, where they're just like, oh, that person's unstable. Yeah, that person's unbalanced. And like, it's just kind of sad to me, because I feel like you work so hard to keep things stable and aligned. And like when these kind of like explosions happen, I feel like no one feels more bad about it than you, or like ashamed about it or something. So I feel like Spirit really brought forth this message so you could kind of give yourself a break. And yeah, even the crystal that you picked was like Celestite. That's like a card of like the third eye chakra. I feel like you're very in tune with Spirit here and with other people's emotions. You're picking up on things left and right, and you're just like doing your best. So give yourself a break. If you didn't even realize this about yourself, about how you can pick things up, and you know, at least if you know that it's other people's emotions sometimes, because maybe sometimes you even feel crazy or something, like, why am I so like emotional though, like they're right, like, you know, or something like that. And it's like you have to deal with things that not everybody has to deal with. So give yourself a break. If they could switch places with you, maybe they would understand it better. But since they can't, you're just going to have to like almost like forgive yourself and accept yourself the way you are, and understand that that's what makes you such a beautiful person with that Page of Cups, such an innocent, fair, balanced, like loyal person. So it's like if you didn't have one, you wouldn't have the other. They kind of go hand in hand. So the best you can do is just kind of take the good with the bad, try to maybe learn some new strategies to balance it out further if it really is like upsetting you and making you feel upset with yourself. like do what you can, but like again, at the end of the day, that's just who you are. So all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, comment, or subscribe to my channel. And otherwise, I will catch you in the next reading, okay? Bye. Hey, lovey. So if you guys chose pile 2 and the amethyst, this is going to be your reading to see what people misunderstand about you. So I pre-shuffled all your cards just in the interest of saving time. So let's start with the first 3 here. Put these here. So this is like what people, wait, this one wanted to come along for the ride. Okay, so this is what people misunderstand about you. We have the threshold number 45. And okay, like right there. And then this is for how you like see yourself or feel like who you are inside. Basically, we have the mother energy. And for how other people see you or like classifying your energy, we have the engineer. Okay, so I feel like this is interesting. So like the threshold, like what do people not understand? I feel like you have such a very different internal and external like personality, if that makes sense. I don't even know if that's a thing, but I feel like you are such a warm, gooey person inside. Mother, nurturance, patience, unconditional love, joy in giving birth to life. And then like with the engineer energy, it says ability to, it's not like bad, but it says ability to give creative energy, a practical expression, talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas. But then the shadow side is a reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences. It's like people are seeing you as like the exact opposite of what you are here. It's like such a big divide here. It's not like that they're seeing like, oh, like you're a caring person, but like the shadow side of this card is like smothering and stuff like that, like being like codependent maybe or something. People are seeing you as like the complete opposite, like reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences. But here, this is like unconditional love. It's like the complete opposite. So people, you must, and I'm not trying to say this in a mean way, but like you must kind of like, this could be like a self-protective thing where you don't want people to see how emotional you are inside, or how it's not even emotional, like, you know, crying and stuff like that, but this is like nurturing, unconditional love, like joy, exuberance, like just like innocence. And again, that could be because somebody is like taking advantage of that, so you kind of created, you are the engineer here, so created a resolution for this dilemma, I guess this says, like, you know, like creatively, like you created a whole new sort of persona for yourself here. And like people are seeing maybe that you are cunning, that you are smart, but that you're a very mentally like motivated person. Like they don't see the warmth, how much you like love other people and care about other people. They're not seeing that. Like they're seeing like a cold, calculating person. So this is very interesting to me. All right, let's dive into the tarot. So that if that sounds like you, maybe where you feel like you are a warm person, but people react to your energy, almost like maybe make you the bad guy or something, or the bad girl, like whatever, but like just like the bad guy in that archetype. They kind of make you like, what was I was just thinking, like that just popped in my head. There's a cold, lonely light that shines from you. What is that? Elton John, I'm Still Standing or something. Maybe people see, oh yeah, because what's that song about? It's like, well, Elton John's basically like free of this person, and he's like, I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he's like talking about how, what does he say? There's a cold, lonely light that shines from you. Sorry, I can't think of the words, but I feel like he's kind of saying how this person, did you think this fool could never win? Look at me, I'm coming back again. I found a taste of love in a simple way. All right, so did you think this fool could never win or something? So I feel like people think you like play them for a fool, or you like see weakness, you're very calculating. Even the way that this engineer is looking, like maybe like if you deal with other people that kind of have this like nurturing energy, they see your energy as like a threat to it, as somebody that could like hurt them, play them for a fool, something like that. Like people, even maybe before getting to know you, maybe something about your appearance or something, like people think that you're a game player. They think that you're like manipulative, I'm getting, calculating, cold, like logical, like that you don't make decisions based on emotions. And I feel like you almost do that in a certain way. Like it's like there is this whole other aspect to your personality that I think is a bigger part, because this darker part is taking up less of the card. So maybe this is something that you're like kind of working on, getting more comfortable with your emotions here. But as of right now, like the straight up, what do people misunderstand about you? Like they don't see your warmth, they see your coldness. And maybe that's, again, like I was saying, something that was built out of self-protection or something like that, because you feel like when you show people your weak flank, they like stab you in it or something like that. So you're kind of like keeping it hidden, like underneath here. Like this is you standing. Oh, I'm still standing. So, okay, this is you standing here. All this worm energy is underneath here, but it's like having a tough time coming up. There's like, you've built a barrier so that you don't even like let people see like the warmth inside of you or something like that. All right, so let's go on with this and clarify. So how do people, like, how do you see yourself? Or what is your true energy? We have the Knight of Wands and the Four of Pentacles. And what people misunderstand about you? We have the Ten of Cups here. And then how do people see you? Again, yep, we have the Page of Swords and the Four of Swords. Okay, so again, people see you in this like very suspicious, cold energy. Like the Page of Swords is somebody like, I think people see you as being very smart and observant. What I'm kind of getting from this is that maybe people think that you judge them a lot. They see you as a very critical, like judgmental person or something like that. But then we're looking over here as for like who you actually are. We have the Knight of Wands. So I feel like you're somebody that has this more fiery, that's kind of like lining up with this energy here. And this is kind of lining up with that monotone, dark energy up there. So this is really like clarifying it. But then we also have the Four of Pentacles. So it's almost like you feel like this Knight of Wands energy like gets you into trouble or something like that. So you have to sort of like conceal it and keep it to yourself. Like I know the Knight of Wands sometimes can be seen as like a player or someone who doesn't want commitment or something like that. But I'm not necessarily getting that. I'm getting more so of like a warm person that like follows their feelings, like follows their blood, like they're ruled by their emotions, not even emotions with the wands, but like their fire energy, like their impulses. It's like you don't let yourself, you keep your impulses to yourself is kind of like the vibe that I'm getting. You keep a lot of yourself like hidden, like I was saying. Yeah, it's like you keep it like tamped down. But what do they misunderstand about you? That you're such a loving, beautiful person. Like you have so much love to give. Like you love other people with the Ten of Cups. It's not just like Nine of Cups, I'm selfish and I want to be fulfilled. This isn't a selfish energy. This is a very giving, loving energy. And maybe that's something like you give this energy to like your family, because the Ten of Cups can like talk about family, and even we have the mother energy here as well. So maybe you feel like your immediate family, like this is showing like a family of four, like so maybe like only your immediate family gets to see this side of you, or just whatever, your family gets to see that like the real you, but the rest of the world is like not, I don't want to say not worthy, but like not trustworthy enough for you to just like open up completely. Even this Knight of Wands, I'm noticing, has armor. Only his eyes and nose and a little bit of his mouth are peeking out, where it's like they want to be able to see. I feel like you are kind of suspicious, and I feel like people are picking up on that correctly and judgmental. But I feel like, again, it's stemming from a place of self-protection, because I think at your core you are this 10 of Cups energy. Like, you're a very loving, beautiful person here, but there's a lot that you kind of keep hidden, and people are interpreting it as like a very cold energy, a very, I feel like people think that immature, I would say immature in a way, like that you're smart but like emotionally immature. I would say that you don't understand emotions. You could be like, again, like holding yourself back. The Page of Swords is somebody that like looks but doesn't act, like doesn't like someone that's like stalking you on social media, not stalking, but like someone that's like observing you on social media, like, but won't like message you, like, you know what I mean? They're like getting, they have all the information here, but they're not sending any out. There's birds there. That's why I was pointing to that. Also, you could be someone, yeah, that just kind of like isolates yourself. Like, you feel sort of like you're different from other people in a way, like maybe more soft, like something that you've known since childhood or something like that, that you have a very soft heart, that you are a very loving person. And I feel like people must have taken advantage. Like, we're not like looking into your past, but I feel like to go from this energy to this energy is kind of telling that maybe with the Knight of Wands and the Ten of Cups, like maybe like in your romantic life or something, but it could even just be your friends, like your coworkers, like people take advantage of you. So you've sort of like learned how to hold yourself back and sort of put up like a front, and people are interpreting that as like you're just, maybe like you think you're better than other people. Like, people think that you think you're smarter than them, like you think that you're better than them, that you're judging them, but meanwhile like you're just trying to keep yourself safe, and you have this like ooey little gooey heart inside, which is so cute. Okay, so let's see what else we can get here. This is more like how you feel about yourself and how other people feel about you. So we have new moon in Libra, a new romantic cycle begins, and first quarter moon assessing. Interesting. And then for how other people kind of see you and feel about you, we have, oh, I'm going to do it this way. We have release, number 27, and you are good enough, full moon in Virgo. I feel like people see that you don't need anybody or necessarily even want anybody like in your life, in your circle or whatever. Again, I see this imagery of all these butterflies, just like all these birds. So maybe you're somebody that a lot of people like try to talk to, like, and like like maybe like potential romantic partners I'm getting, and people maybe think that you think that you're better than them, or like that you have all these offers coming in and you're kind of just like picking and choosing, like almost like you're too good to like answer people or something like that. People see that you don't need them, you're good enough on your own, is kind of the vibe that I'm getting. Release, it's easy for you to like release people, things, communications and stuff like that. How are you seeing yourself? A new romantic cycle begins, new moon in Libra, and assessing. I feel like you see yourself as a very happy-go-lucky, balanced person. I think that you are recognizing the need to sort of keep watch here with the assessing, the suspicious sort of an energy. You see yourself as sort of, I feel like you're almost trying to like rise above this right now, if I'm being honest. Like the way she's like floating up in this balloon, I really noticed, and like looking at the moon, it's almost like you're trying to like look a little bit deeper into your emotions maybe, and incorporate like a little of this warmth in here. Because like no one's saying you have to like break through the threshold and like sort of like dive into this energy and just, oh, I don't care, like let people do whatever the fuck they want to me. No, but maybe like get a little hole in there, whoop, a little a little sunshine can come in just a little bit, you know. I feel like you're almost maybe have been doing some work or something like that, because it's almost like you want this new cycle to begin, where I feel like if you think that you can trust somebody, or you almost want to start it new and like try to trust somebody, like put your past behind you and just like be a little bit, but at the same time, like assessing, like not like willy-nilly, like maybe like a more balanced approach where you are like looking at the facts of a situation, but you are open to something new. I don't know if you're actually there yet because this is coming through as a number 9, which is very independent. I feel like you're just entertaining the idea right now, to be honest. But yeah, I think people feel that you think you're almost like too good for them, or that you don't need anybody, like you're good on your own. It's very easy for you to walk away from people. Like you'll make a logical decision, like I don't want this in my life, like cut the cord, cut the ties, and just walk away without a backward glance, and sort of just never let people, even with this threshold, it could be that like people think that you don't want to let warmth into your own life, like you just want to stay on your own, like again, like you don't need their energy. So they see you as a very blocked off person. They see your blocked off energy, but I feel like you are trying, and that's what's kind of sad, is that you feel like people are still judging you, even though like you are trying to like have a new cycle in your relationships with people, and even just with your friends. It could be because like the 7th house talks about partners, best friends, and romantic partners as well. So maybe you're just like kind of looking at your relationships overall and trying to assess like how you can maybe like let a little bit more of this warmth into your life or something like that. And we have like all this purple here, which makes me think of like the crown chakra. So I feel like you are sort of more connected with like a more spiritual energy, like you're doing work or something like that. I feel like you're trying to like open your heart a little bit more and sort of like get back to who you feel like you really are. Because I feel like this could be, and especially if you maybe look back on your childhood, you would see like this is like the person that you were that is sort of like hardened over time, and now you're like almost trying to like bring back a little bit of that nurturing energy. So good for you, because I'm sure the world like would love it and appreciate it. So because I am getting like a very pure, happy, loving, like family oriented person, and like there's no like, you shouldn't be so like removed from other people. Not like you shouldn't be, but like I feel like you don't want to be either, and that's why you're almost doing this work and trying to like expand and like look into your emotions and stuff like that. So I feel like this, like doing this work, will help you to be more happier overall regardless. So all right, pile 2, that is what I have for you guys. Oh yeah, and even look, your crystal was this purple amethyst crystal, which could talk about breaking bad habits and kind of trying to have like a new approach to things, a new mental approach, thinking about things differently and connecting more with your spiritualness, just which is your heart, you know, basically. Like we want to talk about, oh, like connecting to like the ascended masters, like I mean maybe, but it doesn't have to be that deep. It could just be like connecting to who you really are inside, and like remembering who you are and trying to connect with that and bring a little bit more of that back into the mix. So God bless. All right, pile 2, we are out of here. I will catch you in the next reading. I don't know if I said, but if you like this reading and want to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Otherwise, I will catch you guys in the next one, okay? Bye. right. Hi guys, so if you chose pile 3 and the malachite crystal, this is going to be your reading. I think this is interesting because it always looks like a heart to me, like an actual heart, like valves and stuff. All right, so let's see what we have here. So this card is representing what people misunderstand about you, and we have the 1. And then we have how you see yourself and how other people see you. So how you see yourself as an angel, helping those in need with no expectation of return. That's the light attribute. And the shadow is acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance. And then the how other people see you or feel about you is the Father, talent for creating and supporting life, positive guiding light within a tribal unit. And the shadow is dictatorial control, abuse of authority. All right, so let's start with this. So this is interesting because right away I feel like this is like kind of flipped. Like I feel like this is a case where people think that they understand you better than you understand yourself. I think people get a very false sense of your personality. I think people think that you act like you're such a good person, but that you're really like a very controlling person underneath or something like that. And I feel like you sort of see yourself that you're helping people with no expectation of return, and that I think you think that people see you in that way as well. I feel like you, whether that is actually who you are, this is how you see yourself, I feel like. So, but I feel like there's like a sense that, because we had like the martyr energy on the bottom of the deck, so I feel like you could be somebody that kind of is a martyr, that like sort of has like martyr tendencies sometimes, where like you do good things, but then it's almost like you maybe talk about them a lot, or like want people to know about them a lot and stuff like that, like instead of just like doing them just for the sake of, and maybe it's like a thing where like, because I do feel like people are sensing this energy from you, that you're not like maybe not as good of a person as you claim to be or something like that. So maybe you sense that and then like try to like make up for it by being like extra giving, but then there's like a resentment that forms, and I feel like maybe you sort of lash out, or like, okay, like say you're a person that, I don't know, like you're always doing like nice deeds for everybody, and then like you're always picking up the slack for other people, and then it's like one day again, it's like the straw that breaks the that looks like straws to me. It's like a straw that breaks the camel's back, and then it's like almost like you go completely in the opposite direction and sort of like take your power back in a way that is very like abrupt, like very like out of character for you, like so it seems to other people, and that like that you're just, but really like you're just kind of reaching a breaking point here. And I feel like something that could be an issue here is that you maybe take on too much to begin with, and like you need to maybe like learn how to say no or something, like when you're like tired or something like that, or just like ignoring certain things that you see need to be done. And we have this father energy here, so this could be like maybe in your family, like say you're like a wife, mother, like you're working, you're taking care of the kids, like you're doing more than your fair share, but then you're sort of like flipping out on the people in your house for not picking up their slack or something like that. And people kind of see you as like that you're almost like acting super nice, but that you're not like a nice person inside. I'd say that's what people misunderstand about you. So let's get more into the cards to see. As for this 1 energy, I feel like this is kind of like a message of like from spirit saying that you don't have to be just one thing. Like, you can be a good person and still like set limits with people. Like, you don't have to let people walk all over you. You're not a bad person if you say no to something, like but you could be the kind of person that kind of agrees to do something to help. Like, say you want someone to ask you, can you help me move, but it's your only day off, and you're like, okay, blah blah blah, but then like that day comes and you're like exhausted and you're like, you know what, I really can't do this, so you make up an excuse, and then people get pissed off about that. Like, well, why did you say you were going to do this if you're not going to do it, kind of a thing. So I feel like people like don't understand that about you, that you're very overloaded because you're always picking up other people's slack. But so they feel like maybe that you pretend to be a good person, but deep down like you're not. But I feel like this one energy is coming through to be like, what am I thinking of? Like Kendrick Lamar, that song DNA, where he's like, I've got loyalty, got royalty inside my DNA. I got cocaine quarter piece, got war and peace inside my DNA. Like, I got power, poison, pain, and joy. Like, it's like all like the whole spectrum. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay to like feel like a bitch sometimes. It's okay to like say no and just like right up front, like, I'm sorry, I can't help you move. Like, you're gonna have to like get some help, hire a mover. You're on your own. Like, I'm sorry, like I can't. I need to rest that day, even if you don't have something planned. Like, you know, something like that. Where it's like, I feel like, yeah, people kind of take from you in a way. They know that they can count on you, but then maybe they like lean on you a little too much, and then it like ends up exhausting you in the process or something like that. So let's see more. Like, how do you see yourself? We have the Emperor and Strength. Okay. And we have the Tower. So I'm getting a lot of like Mars energy, a lot of fire energy. You could be a Scorpio because the Tower is Scorpio energy. It's really Mars energy, but we also have Aries here that's ruled by Mars. So you could have like a lot of Aries or Scorpio in your chart. We also have Leo coming through here. These are 3 major arcana. So I feel like people have strong opinions about you. And I feel like you feel very strongly too, like about like yourself and like the things you do for other people. Like, you have a very strong opinion. And then this is how other people see you. We have the 9 of Swords and the 4 of Cups. So it's like, I feel like you see yourself as somebody that needs to sort of be there for people. Again, it's like that father energy, but I feel like you talent for creating and supporting life, positive guiding light within a tribal unit. I feel like you want to always help people. You want to always be there for people. You always want to like, you're probably like that person in a group, because it said guiding light within a tribal unit. Like, you're that person trying to make everybody else feel better, but it's almost like you feel like it's your responsibility. Like, you have to be strong and you have to be other people's strength. Like, you have to soothe people when they're like angry or like, you know, something like that. But it's like, again, it takes a toll on you. With the Tower, it's like, I feel like you have a tough time like accepting your not so angelic thoughts, opinions, or like, what's the word, instincts. Like, when someone asks you to do something, or someone even is like mean to you, I feel like you could like hold it in and just try to be nice back because you feel like you have to be a nice person. But like, again, like with this Tower energy, I feel like you stuff a lot of things down and they end up maybe like exploding, maybe even on the wrong people, or you just kind of sort of act in a way that seems very surprising to people with the Tower, like out of character, out of nowhere, and people are like, what the hell? And it ends up being a big thing. And how people are seeing you, 9 of Swords and the 4 of Cups, I think people kind of think, again, that they know you better than you know yourself. People see that, I almost like they think that, I feel like there are some people that almost know that you'll say yes and sort of use that with the 9 of Swords, like, oh, like almost they see you in this 9 of Swords energy, like you'll be worrying about it or something like that. So like, almost like they can use it to their advantage. But with the 4 of Cups, it's kind of like an energy of boredom, apathy, like mixed with this 9 of Swords energy. I think people see you as like mentally unstable, is what I would say. Even though the 4 of Cups can kind of be, they see you as someone like a sourpuss or something like that. But it's like, I feel like you're trying to be this good person and sort of like, I feel like you're overextending yourself like so much. And I think people think it's coming from like a bad place. I think people see that you're like so nice and giving, but they think it's coming from a bad place. They think that it's an act, because like I feel like sometimes like this other aspect of your personality kind of comes out, and people are like, all right, like if you're such a nice person, then why did you do that? Like if you're such a nice person, then like they're getting that almost that you're like an unstable sort of a person, or that I'm almost getting a sense of like condescension, like bored and apathetic, like almost like, you know what I mean? Like sort of, I don't know. I feel like people really, really misinterpret your energy strongly. And I feel like you have pure intentions. And you feel like, again, like you have a responsibility to sort of like almost ignore your own needs and wants in order to help other people. And that leads to a lot of resentment on your part in a way that I think people pick up on and then judge you for, which is kind of, I guess, understandable to an extent, but I think it's always good to know these things, because it's like, I feel like, again, even with the Mars energy, like, it's a very action oriented energy, but then it's also like when you look at Aries and Scorpio, Scorpio is like fixed water, Aries is cardinal fire. Like, so it's like, I feel like you're like, yeah, like always like rushing and doing and helping. But then it's like, again, like the resentment maybe you feel, or like the tiredness you feel, always like helping is sort of like just sinking down into like this, like your eighth house kind of place, like, you know, your scorpionic base here, and just really staying there stagnant until it kind of like, I mean, this is kind of like similar to pile one, but in a different way. Whereas I feel like they were soaking up emotions, like they were an emotional sponge. I feel like you're almost like doing it, your actions, like you're taking on too much and doing too much for other people, feeling resentful, and then maybe just like you're not doing anything anymore, and people are asking you for stuff and you're saying no. Yeah, like almost like, hey, can blah blah blah, like, and you're just like, leave me alone, like I need to rest. Like with the Four of Cups can be about rest, and even the Nine of Swords, like they're in a bed, like stop, I just need to sleep. Like people see you sort of have that reaction and like don't get it, because they're like, all right, well, you're the one that offered to help me, like you're the one that always helps me do this, like you're the one that I always can go to, like why are you being like this right now? But it's like, I feel like you almost try to be like, yeah, portray yourself as like an angel, and you feel like you have to be good all the time and you have to help people all the time, and Spirit's like, yo, like the one, like look out for number one, like number one comes first. Just like, you know, that whole thing they say about like when you're on an airplane, and if, you know, you have to put your oxygen mask on, like put it on yourself first, because like you can't help other people unless you have like the sufficient oxygen and you can't breathe. Like you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself first, and then you can sort of extend your energy out. I feel like, yeah, that's the way this looks to me. Like I feel like you have other people, and your need to help other people is like the center of your universe, and you're one of these little, I called it a straw before, but one of these little white lights here. But like you need to switch that, put yourself front and center, and realize that it is okay. Like I feel like if anything, you should just try to start being a lot more selfish in a way, because I feel like people are kind of interpreting your energy in a negative way anyway. So like you might as well just kind of start doing, not that you should not do good things for other people, but first of all, pick and choose, be more discerning, and do like a little inventory of your own energy. Like, do I feel like I want to help this person right now? Like, what am I doing tomorrow? Like, do I need to rest? Like, can I compromise somehow? Like, can I wait until next week when I have like more time to myself, and like I'll probably have more energy? Like, you know, kind of like, don't just say yes immediately. Like be like, oh, I'll have to get back to you. Like that's something you could do, you know, before agreeing to certain things. Or because I feel like maybe even people don't ask you, you just like kind of offer things, and then sort of like not go back on your word in a way that you're like not an honorable person, but like you just reach a point where you're just like, I'm so tired, like, or I'm so sick of this, and it just like it builds and builds and builds until you kind of just like do something kind of crazy, not crazy, but just sort of unexpected, and it seems out of character for you. So that's something I would definitely look at. All right, so let's look at this. So how are you like feeling about yourself? Be bold and make the first move. And Queen of the Moon, sovereignty. And then how are other people seeing you? We have, oh, let's do this one first. boundaries, and oh, why do I keep doing that? A fiery climax approaches. Full moon in Aries, more Aries energy. So yeah, I feel like, again, like how I was saying that, like, I think people kind of see maybe a little bit like they see you better than you see yourself, because I don't think you maybe, I think people see that you have no boundaries, and I think there's two different kinds of people. Like maybe some people that try to like use that to their advantage, and some people that just kind of can see that like, oh, like you're taking on too much and then like lashing out. A fiery climax approaches, like they, and some people that sort of see that you have no boundaries and kind of are like, ooh, like what can I get out of this person or something. So just be aware of that, because it's good to have boundaries. You have to protect yourself. You have to look out for, number one, no one is going to look out for you if you're not looking out for yourself. No one is going to, people are just going to be looking out for themselves. And that's like something that my dad used to always say to me, like, Gina, like, you're such a good person. Like, he used to worry about me obsessively. And he's like, Gina, you're such a good person. And you think everybody's like you. But he's like, no, like, people aren't like that. Like, they don't have a good heart like that. And like, you have to protect yourself. Like, he's like, that's how you see the world. Like, you think everyone is just like you. But like, they're not. So that's something to keep. Oh, yeah, father. Yeah, maybe that's some wisdom from my dad for everybody. Like, you know, just like be aware that like, there's all different kinds of people in the world. Even though, yes, we are all one, I feel like that's also a part of this. Like, you always want to give everybody a fair chance. And you always want to see the best in people, and it ends up with you being taken advantage of, even in subtle ways where it's maybe not some super manipulative person, but just, you know, people, you give an arm and people take a leg, you know, and that's what people, I think, do to you. So be bold and make the first move, and sovereignty. I think this is more speaking like when you feel like, when this like kind of tower energy comes in and you sort of like take a stand finally, it feels very justified to you. You're like, yes, like I am getting taken advantage of and blah blah blah. But the thing is that this is sort of like a new energy for people because they're not used to it. So I feel like that's like, you see this as like you're very justified in this, and you are. But I think it's just like spirit is saying like try a different approach, whereas you're more so keeping things a little bit more balanced and making yourself a priority, so that way like this doesn't have to happen. And like when you feel like justified, like, yes, like people have been taking from me, like I think what spirit is saying is that like kind of recognize that you've maybe contributed to this cycle with people where you give and then people take. So like there is, especially if you try to start changing this and like stop with the give, people are going to sort of not like it and maybe even throw mud on your name a little bit. But you have to be okay with that and do what's best for you and just know who you are, like have that sovereignty inside. I feel like this is more of like advice than feelings right here for you guys. I think spirit's like be bold, and it says make the first move, but maybe the first move is to say no. Like maybe the first move is to do something different than you would normally do and take a stand for yourself. And then yeah, like with these two, I think spirits like put some boundaries in place before like things get so fiery, like a fiery climax. And then like the cycle starts all over again, kind of is what I'm getting. Like it's like you, I feel like maybe like unexpectedly kind of lash out, and then like you maybe feel guilt about it or shame. I feel like you feel justified, but then like later like the shame, and you feel like, oh, I'm not a good person, and then you kind of like maybe compensate by like overgiving even more, and then a more fiery climax approaches the next time, if that makes sense. So just remember, like, it's not bad to like need rest and to need time to yourself and to just say no because you don't feel like doing something. Why should you do something that you don't feel like doing, you know? If you can help. If you can't, you can't. That's it. Like, make that your new motto, like pile 3. So, all right, guys, I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, comment, or subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next one, okay? Bye.